Every year, thousands of people are killed while simply walking down the street. It's a really grim part of modern life, but what if it doesn't have to be? For a long time, we've kind of accepted this as a tragic but unavoidable cost of getting around. But what if it's not a tragedy, but an engineering problem, a design challenge that we actually already have the tools to solve? Let's take a look at the problem, and more importantly, the incredible solutions that are already out there. To really understand where we're headed, we have to be brutally honest about where we are right now. And this data from a AAA Foundation study makes it crystal clear. For pedestrians, our streets are getting more dangerous. But here's what's really telling when you look at this chart. The massive spike in fatalities isn't happening on quiet little side streets. Nope. It's concentrated on urban arterials. Those big, multi-lane roads designed to move cars through our cities as fast as possible. And this isn't some slow, historical trend that's been building for a century. It's a huge and pretty recent reversal. After hitting a modern low back in 2009, pedestrian deaths have just skyrocketed by over 80%. That tells us something fundamental has changed in the last decade or so about our cars, our roads, and maybe even how we behave on them. Okay, so let's unpack that rising risk. What are the specific things that turn a potential collision into a deadly one? Well, the data gives us some very clear and honestly pretty sobering answers. So you might think that regular passenger cars are the whole story, since they're in most of the accidents. But when it comes to how lethal a crash is, they're not even close to the biggest problem. A study from Adelaide, Australia broke down the fatality risk, and wow, the numbers are stark. A collision with a truck is more than 4 times as likely to be fatal as one with a car. And with a semi-trailer, the risk is just astronomical. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. The ever-increasing size and weight of vehicles on our roads is a direct cause of the rising danger. To really get serious about preventing these incidents, we first have to understand the mechanics of the collision itself. What actually happens in those split seconds when a vehicle hits a person? It's a brutal but very predictable chain of events. Crash analysis shows this almost choreographed 3-step sequence. First, the bumper hits the legs. Then, as the body starts to wrap around the front of the car, the front edge of the hood slams into the pelvis or upper thigh. And finally, in the 3rd step, the head and upper body are thrown back, striking the hood or the windshield. This right here perfectly illustrates why every part of a car's front end is so critical for safety design. And that sequence we just saw, it leads directly to these, the most common, most severe injuries. The data shows that the head and the lower extremities, so the legs and pelvis, make up half of all serious injuries. That final impact, the one to the head, is what so often makes these crashes fatal. And this is exactly why modern vehicle design is so focused on making those specific impact points softer. All right, enough about the problem. It's pretty grim. Let's talk about the solutions, because there are a lot of them. And we're going to start not with the car, but with the environment where these things happen, our roads. The goal here is all about prevention. It's about designing a system that expects humans to make mistakes and protects them anyway. The whole philosophy behind modern road safety is called the safe system approach. You might know it by its most famous name, Vision Zero. The core idea is a complete shift in who's responsible. Instead of just blaming drivers or pedestrians for messing up, it says the system itself, the roads, the cars, the speeds, should be designed to be forgiving so that when someone inevitably makes a mistake, they don't have to die for it. So what does that look like in the real world? Here are 2 perfect examples from a program in Austin, Texas. On the left, you've got a speed cushion, which literally forces cars to slow down. And on the right, these posts are for left turn calming. They physically guide the car into a sharper, slower turn, which gives the driver way more time to see if someone's in the crosswalk. They're simple, physical changes that make a huge difference. And this isn't just theory. This stuff gets results. It really works. Cities that have put in these turn-calming measures have seen some incredible improvements. New York City saw pedestrian injury crashes drop by 16%. DC saw a whopping 71% reduction in conflicts between cars and people at those intersections. It's clear, compelling proof that these pretty low-cost changes can have a massive impact. Okay, let's switch gears now, from the roads to the cars themselves. Because building a truly safer system means you have to look at every single piece of the puzzle. For decades, car safety was all about protecting the people inside the car. But now, that focus is expanding to protect the people outside the car too. When you're talking about pedestrian safety, it really boils down to two big categories. You've got passive safety, which is all about making the impact less harmful after it's already happening. Think of it as damage control. And then you have active safety, which is all about using technology to stop the crash from ever happening in the first place. Passive safety is all about physics. We're talking about using softer materials for bumpers that absorb energy. It includes really clever designs like pop-up hoods that instantly create a crush zone over the hard engine block. There are even airbags that deploy on the outside of the car to cushion the blow for a pedestrian. It's all about weakening the forces we saw earlier. But the real game changer? That's on the active safety side. And the superstar technology here is definitely autonomous emergency braking, or AEB, with pedestrian detection. Using cameras and radar, the car can actually see a person in its path, realize a collision is about to happen, and if the driver doesn't react, it will slam on the brakes all by itself, often way faster than a human ever could. So how effective is this tech? Well, a major study of fatal accidents in Sweden came to a pretty jaw-dropping conclusion. They found that if every single car in their study had been equipped with AEB, 58% of the pedestrian deaths could have potentially been prevented. Think about that. That's more than half. So we have smarter roads and we have smarter cars. That's fantastic. But what's next? The ultimate goal here is to go beyond just reducing accidents and move towards a future where we can pretty much eliminate them. And that requires going from smart individual cars to a totally smart connected system. The technology that makes this all possible is called V2X, which stands for Vehicle to Everything. The easiest way to think about it is like a social network for transportation. It's a system where cars are in constant, real-time communication with everything around them, sharing data about their speed, their location, and what they're about to do. And this V2X ecosystem is incredibly comprehensive. You have vehicles talking to other vehicles talking to infrastructure like traffic lights, and, this is the really key part, vehicle to pedestrian, or V2P. A pedestrian's smartphone could literally broadcast their location, making them digitally visible to a car's safety system long before its cameras could ever physically see them around a blind corner. So what can you actually do with this connected future? Well, one of the most powerful examples is something called automated platooning. This is where vehicles travel in these tight, electronically linked convoys. And because they're all talking to each other wirelessly, the reaction time is instantaneous. They can brake and accelerate as one single unit, which not only saves fuel, but dramatically increases safety by basically eliminating human reaction time from the equation. And this brings us to the most powerful and honestly most hopeful statistic of all. That same Swedish study concluded that if we just combine all the existing technologies we already have, the smarter roads, the cars with systems like AEB, we could potentially save up to 93% of fatally injured pedestrians. 93%. This technology isn't science fiction. It's here, today. Which leaves us with one final and really critical question. This isn't a matter of what's technologically possible anymore. It's about political and social will. We have a clear roadmap to a future with nearly zero pedestrian deaths. The solutions are literally right in front of us. The question now is, are we ready to make the choice to use them?